And we should be live. Let me just share out the link so that way people know that I'm live.
Absolutely.
Also, I made sure to change the scenery too, so if you go to my channel, you'll see.
Yeah. Check that out. I think I'm subscribed to you twice. Wait, what's the name of your channel again?
It should just be Calyrex.
Just found it. Sorry.
Okay, tweet it out.
Looks good. And yeah, let me find the tweet. Okay, Twitter is failing me.
Ooh.
Thing is loading. I don't know. I have an issue with configuration of the browser.
Alright, so I sent I tweeted them all out. I shared them in everyone's Discord, so yeah. I just have to say thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you for your patience, man. And doing a weekday. It's much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. And honestly, even though I don't usually stream during the weekdays, unless it's just me just playing a game and chilling out, honestly, it's finally great to have you on the full show.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Wait, how's your day been, man? Been enjoying any games today?
A little bit. So I'm coming to the end of Persona 5 Strikers. I've been dragging my feet a little bit. But it's a great game. I'm revving up to play Shin Megami Tensei 3 HD Remaster, which we still don't have a Western release date for, which is really strange. I thought it was going to be this month. And then I'm playing a visual novel called Umineko, which happens to be popular, I guess, in the Twitter space run on, which is a very interesting. It's a mystery, and you're trying to solve things that I don't want to spoil. But yeah.
Oh no, yeah. Make sure not to spoil it for anyone that's interested. But yeah. I didn't even know you were interested in visual novels. I've actually been starting to get into them a little bit recently with the Danganronpa series.
Yeah, okay.
And also the Fate series. But I don't know. I think they got rid of the original Fate Stay Night visual novel off of Steam.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, I remember seeing it like 2 years back, and now I just don't see it anymore. All that pops up are the newer ones.
I've played Danganronpa 1. I got to 2, and I think the format kind of made me think, okay, I just need to take a break from it. But to my understanding is that it just gets better as it goes. That the third one is the best one, and I thought the first one was fantastic. And speaking of visual novels, so my favorite visual novel game, even though it has puzzles as well, is I guess the trilogy of 999, and then Virtue's Last Reward. The final one, I think it's called Zero Time Dilemma.
I had never heard of that.
Oh, it's so good. So the original series started on 3DS, I want to say. It's also on Vita, and then it was ported almost everywhere. I think it's on literally every platform. But it's a visual novel that's broken up by puzzles, and the interconnections between the storylines is awesome. It's the first time I played a visual novel, and I platinumed it, doing all the crazy exploratory things you have to do. I would definitely recommend that. I don't. You prefer Steam, so I can show you the link to that.
Now, I do have a question for you. Have you ever played the Steins Gate series?
I have not, and it's funny. I almost tried it like a couple months ago. I think it's on PlayStation now.
Is it?
Yeah, there's one of them that I installed and I looked at it, and then I think I just never hit me. But what do you think of it?
I've only seen the anime. I haven't played the series, but watching the anime made me want to actually try out the actual visual novel. Because with those they have multiple choices, so it can end differently.
And so for Steins Gate, I've only seen the first like 2 episodes of the anime. I just remember, and I don't even know, like, maybe I'm completely wrong. I remember the main character being really sad that he had like lost somebody and was obsessing over it. And I think another character was trying to tell him to get over it. That's literally the only thing I can think of with Steins Gate.
I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil the anime for you, and I don't want to spoil the games because they did remake one of the. They did remake the first game by adding the anime art style to it. So yeah, if I do say anything, it could spoil something for you. So yeah, but man, it's great. It's great talking about games with you. I can really tell you're a real Japanese enthusiast when it comes to the visual novel side of things, and honestly, that's why I thought that this stream would be great for us to talk about just Japan Studios.
Absolutely. There's, I remember you mentioning that you heard my ramblings on the Saltiest Gaming podcast. The reason I bring that up is when I had that ramblings, it was because I went through the entire catalog of Studio Japan and just went to appreciate all the things they made that never got localized, which is like, I don't know, maybe 40% of that catalog because of the PSP support. And there's just so many gems that I've always wanted to try. There was one RPG they made called, Rezelcross. Yeah, I think it's called Rezelcross. And it just never made it to the West at the time. I think it was just too many other RPGs that, I didn't know any fan translations or anything. And I hadn't studied Japanese in like 2007 or something like this. So so many things that we missed, and maybe one day I'll go back. And now with this emulator world, it's looking pretty good.
At least for PC audience, it sucks because regarding backwards compatibility on the consoles, at least for PlayStation, there's not much in terms of like at least backwards compatibility when it comes to their PSP and PS Vita ports, unless the games got remastered like Gravity Rush did.
Agreed. I'm a little bit upset about it. I'm one of those Vita Forever people, and I bought a good amount of games on the PSN store like last summer, including things like Persona 3 Portable. I bought Valkyria Chronicles 3, which Japanese speakers say is the best one. A bunch of other games that I just thought would be supported for a while going into the PS5 generation. So to see that ripped away is just like...
It hurts. It hurts you. It has to. Especially if you're just like a fan of one of their series. I mean, I'm a big fan of Astrobot, but I think I was more of a fan of their Ape Escape series.
Good old Ape Escape, man. When I first saw that game, I didn't even own a PlayStation. I literally was watching a neighbor in my neighborhood just play it, and like I guess the idea of the DualShock just didn't make it. Didn't like it was really cool, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And the idea that I just remember he was terrible at the game. We could never finish a level capturing. I'm trying to remember what was like the constraint that we always failed. It was a countdown timer or something like that. I can't even remember.
Now, actually, my first introduction wasn't in the mainline games. It was actually through the PSP game. I think it was called Ape Escape Academy.
Oh.
I don't know if you ever tried that one out, but it was really fun. It kind of was like a party game.
Really? Is it multiplayer?
I don't know if it was multiplayer because I never had my PSP connected to the Wi-Fi, to be honest.
Oh, interesting. No, I don't remember that. Ape Escape. You said it. What was it called? Ape Escape.
Academy.
That's pretty cool.
I highly recommend you play it. It's really fun. It's a real time waster too.
And the number one hit is Weird Game. Which is right up my alley. Let me check this out.
I just wanted to take my time and say thank you for anybody that's stopping by and giving me some likes. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to share the stream around. And I really do hope you guys enjoy this something different. And I really did... Oh, wait, okay, so I need to turn myself down. Thank you, Adam. Adam's my helper when it comes to audio. So
I'm usually too loud, so let me know.
Yes, I know, Adam. I know, but back to Sony Japan. Now, it kind of seeing the news that broke out just not that long ago. It hurts to see that this dude is going to be just reduced in size and in terms of creativity, because they honestly put out a lot of creative games, and I honestly thought that's what made them different from all the other AAA studios.
Absolutely. Somebody in the chat, on the last podcast I was on, brought up the idea that if you look at purely the numbers for Studio Japan, they didn't contribute to the success of the PlayStation 4. For example, they didn't push many units because of the evidence of PlayStation 4s sold in Japan comparatively to the PS3 generation, which we know was not the prettiest.
I will say that I think it was that they're just like their games in general that they created themselves probably didn't sell that well. Like I know, for instance, like Knack, that didn't sell huge numbers at all. But I think games that they collaborated with were more successful than their own original IPs.
I agree. At least it's been a long time. Like, Dragoon sold well, but that's 4 gens ago. So, yeah, I completely agree with this. People who tell me they didn't do anything to help PlayStation 4 be successful, I hear that. But I also want, I was saying this before, but I want to make the argument that developers that worked with Studio Japan often become, how would you say, leaders of their own. One example I cited was the core game designer for Puppeteer is actually the game designer for Bluepoint. And
I didn't know that.
He learned, and so the leadership in Bluepoint will always have respect for Studio Japan in that collaboration. Obviously, Sony has a great love for Studio Japan. So there's a ton of talent there. The number one criticism I hear from Shuhei Yoshida is there doesn't seem to be a lot of leaders that want to grow with the ambition that the PlayStation brand typically perpetuates, if you know what I'm saying. For example, Naughty Dog took Uncharted from what we knew, Drake's Fortune, to this, epic finale, right? He says that like, I'm forgetting his name. Yamauchi, the developer behind Gran Turismo, has that type of vision. Or Fumito Ueda behind the, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, they have that vision. But there are many other developers that kind of, to put it lightly, meander, maybe don't know exactly where they want to go. And that I think that process is what Shuhei was looking for in Studio Japan. Now, this is a comment that he had made in a 2017 article. I don't know if that has any relevance to, what Becker leaving, again, who was the leader at Studio Japan.
Yeah, opinions can always change. I did hear you bring this up when you were on Salty's podcast, and
right.
I do see that because there are some developers that don't make games that will appeal for everybody. They just want to be creative themselves. I think that's kind of where Sony Japan found themselves in. Because, I mean, with Gran Turismo, like you mentioned, Yamauchi, I think he was aiming for like a wider audience than just Japan when it came to Gran Turismo, and that became a hit.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of people do like racing games too. So I think that's what helped him out too. But honestly thought that at least some games from Japan Studios did appeal to some people, like Astrobot at least.
Yeah, Astrobot I think is awesome, and to be honest, if he's I don't know what we call the mascot for a couple years or for whatever next release, that works. And I'm happy to see Studio Japan succeeding. I just miss, I think, the willingness to take massive risks, like Studio Japan did before. Just completely throw it out there, see what works. Um, they can't lose that. It can't just be one franchise, right? One franchise is never defined Studio Japan.
Yeah, no, and I think that's also what Media Molecule likes to do, as they moved on from Little Big Planet to Tearaway, and they moved away from that game to Build Dreams. So it's definitely great to have like a developer that just tries to do different things. And I've always said
Absolutely.
too that it never hurts to have these creative studios too, because it just helps them stand out more. Because when it comes to Sony, I do see a lot of people just say that they have just mostly third person or just like story driven games. But when it comes to like this, I always brought up just Japan Studios or Media Molecule that did things differently than other studios.
Yeah, completely agreed. Obviously, like Studio Bend and Sucker Punch, and then Naughty Dog, and then you look at Guerrilla Games. Yeah, there is an argument to be made, and then of course all like third party support. Um, so yeah, there are some other lesser known studios that also contribute to VR. Like shoot, Blood and Truth was their first game. I think it's like
London
Manchester
Studios.
Studio, Liverpool. Yeah, I'm sorry. And there's one other. Well, I guess you could say Pixel Opus also makes third-person adventure games. But you're right. I mean, the commitment to Media Molecule for 6 years to make an engine that we probably know didn't sell well and doesn't have the most engagement is a testament to that legacy. I'm curious what will happen moving forward. I don't know if you had caught it a couple months ago. Shuhei had tweeted an article about Media Molecule's engagement not doing well to Herman Holst, and I'm curious what that conversation was like,
I did not catch
because
that. This is news
yeah,
to me because from what I heard when it came to Shuhei Yoshida was that they were planning on like just keeping this game going for as long as they could, just to help make it big. But I know it's not catching on because it's not a game meant for everybody.
yeah,
And I
it's
even
been
was listening to some people's other opinions, like when it came to the Weapon Wheel podcast. Some uh, I forgot it was BG. Yeah, I think it was BG that said he thinks that Media Molecule might also suffer the same fate as Japan Studios right now.
yeah. I really don't want to see that, but under I think the way Jim Ryan thinks, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he'll maybe throw them a bone and say, your next game has to be a hit. And then if it's not, who knows?
And when it comes to Media Molecule, they are capable of bringing hits out. Like again, Little Big Planet was a huge success when it came out, and that was their first ever game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that they still have a chance, much like Ben still had a chance. I mean, they most of their games were mostly on a PSP, so they didn't have much in terms of consoles. Like after what was it? What was the last game when it came to consoles? I think it was on the PS. I think it was on the first PlayStation, right?
What, Media Molecule?
No, Ben Studio.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That was, I think it was Siphon Filter, Omega Strain, I want to say. Or PSP. Did they have a Siphon Filter PSP game? But you're right. It's been like 20 years since they were on a main console.
Savage in the chat typed out. He says that the unique niche types of games more interest me than the big blockbuster games. Japan Studios is quite unfortunate. Yeah, you see, you do have people that just don't like the blockbuster games, and that's totally a different type of audience too. So I think that's going to hurt them going forward because if you don't get those unique games anymore, like Japan Studios put out, I think you're probably going to have just people who are going to. They're probably just going to have that audience that goes for those AAA games more than likely, because that's what's been
Yeah.
doing them big numbers, anyways.
Yeah. And I know PlayStation has to know that the what would you say, the aggregate of all of the genres being supported on their platform is why they defeat the competition so easily. I think that's obviously true because they have locked Persona 5, at least the vanilla version, to the console, so they value them in that. And then they used to have something like Level 5 only making exclusives, and then Falcom Games used to really be only in the PlayStation ecosystem, at least for a few years. So they knew that that was important in combination with having most of the fighting games in their on their console. Something like King of Fighters 14 really being only on PlayStation, or Virtua Fighter 5. I'm sorry, not Virtua Fighter 5, Street Fighter 5. Um, so I think it could be, as a gamer, for me it works perfect because I want my Gran Turismo, I want my God of War, and I want my Falcom game, and and then I want it now. I don't want to wait for it to come out on PC. And dropping one of those, you know, what would you say, spaces, a genre, it just makes me frown. Huge frown on the inside.
Yeah, no, I get it, and there are definitely franchises that people have been upset about. Like I see this one Twitter account that is mostly about Ape Escape, just upset at the fact that there might not be another game in that franchise.
Could you imagine really like Japan Studios only being, I don't know, a localization team? That would be terrible. Absolutely terrible. And like I'm just hoping that, like, I'm so frustrated with Studio Japan because they don't typically make game, like, even back in the PS1 era, they weren't making games by themselves. They used subsidiary teams. They used external partnerships.
Oh no,
That shouldn't have
I actually
changed.
did my research about that. Yeah, that's mostly what they were known for too. Even
Right.
Mystic keeps saying, always says that they were mostly just a partner on games.
Exactly. And um, there are teams sitting around that I go and look up, like, for example, Media Vision. Media Vision is so true to my heart because they made the original Wild Arms games, and they are making a mobile game right now. It's called Megid, and they had a sequel that came out, I think, 2 years ago, called Megid 2, and it is probably pretty profitable for them. They can make a gameplay system that has a little bit of RNG, some cool characters doing animations, and uh, their market is basically anybody with a phone in Japan. But it makes me furious on the inside that Sony can't have that same level of ambition and say, man, maybe Wild Arms could come back and we could field
Well, they
how
technically are
big of a
continuing that franchise, but that was just been stuck to mobile now with their.
You're right.
I think it was with Forward Works. I think is what their studio's called.
Oh yeah. Yeah, ForwardWorks. They're a small company. I remember them.
Yeah, not a lot of people actually know that they still work on Wild Arms. I think that they're the ones that took over the franchise after Level 5 just decided to step out of that franchise.
Oh, you mean Media Vision?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I see
You're right.
Savage
ForwardWorks.
bringing up that he's hopeful that Sony could work with other studios like that new Bokeh studio. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, it's a play on a word that is a loan word in itself, but it basically means when you add uh, a depth of focus. Like when you're taking a picture, you know how like you can focus on the foreground and background. It comes from the word bokashi, where I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, that's where he got the idea from. But yeah, I agree.
And Sony's no
Uh,
stranger when it comes to partnering with other studios either. Like we were talking about earlier, Sony Japan mostly did collaborative work, even dating back as far as the PS1. So it wouldn't be new. So that could always be a possibility. I mean, didn't they do that when the Team Ico split apart?
yes, yeah, that's a great example. And even I'm forgetting his name. I apologize, but even the lead at Bokeh Studio said he would do it if Sony said, "Hey, Gravity Rush 3, do it."
Yeah. So it's obviously
Sounds
there's
like it
no
would be.
like ill like there's no bad. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I think it's a ill will at Sony. Like people are like some people are spreading around because there is that narrative going around that Sony is abandoning Japan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
since he said that he wants to work that he's still willing to work with Sony, I think that says something to that credibility that Sony hasn't completely abandoned Japan.
I agree. He could have been more honest. I mean, I'm not saying he's lying, but I guess I'm thinking if he really didn't want anything to do with them, he would have been, I think, a little more vocal about it. Considering, well, I don't know. It's tough because depending on where his new horror game is going to release, he might want to be part of the PlayStation platform, but I don't know what his preferred platform will be at this point. But yeah, I think there's going to be something positive to take away from it. I'm excited to see horror games from him again. It's been a long time since the last Siren, so I'm hoping.
Now, I actually never
Yeah,
played Siren. So I don't know. I don't know how his games are like in terms of like how good his horror games are. So I don't know if you could help me out with that. Like seeing like
so I'm a little bit limited myself. I've only played the PlayStation 3 version, which was um, very interesting. It was episodic releases where you were basically exploring like a village area, and you there were how would you say like zombies that were out to get you. But what was really unique is when they were near you, you were given the perspective of the zombie chasing you, and it's almost like a second person experience because you can see that you see yourself from first person as a zombie, but you're still I'm trying to remember you're still controlling what you see, if you know what I'm saying, from the perspective of what's chasing you.
oh yeah,
And that was
There's a
really
game out there
interesting.
actually. It's a kind of like a racing game, and it has that same perspective.
Yes, yeah, that's hazy because that's like right when I got my PS3. I was kind of late to getting it. I was broke. But really, I mean, like, wasn't the most mechanically sound game in the world, but the ominous atmosphere, I thought it was really cool. But I did not ever play the PS2 games, and I think there was at least 3 of them.
So you at least have like a little bit of experience, unlike me. I've never touched the one of those games, but I've heard about it before.
Yeah, I
But
have a lot of
wasn't he part of the original Silent Hill team? Or yeah.
yes. Now you're really testing my memory. The lead for the Silent Hill team is another member that's now part of Bokeh, whose name I cannot remember. I apologize. But I believe he was a developer at some point in support of one of the games. Now you got me wanting to look that up.
No, you're good. There's so many names from that studio. It's kind of hard to keep track of all of them.
Yeah.
Like that one person from the Bloodborne team, or at least that helped on Bloodborne when it came to Japan studio side.
Yes.
Now, also
Yes.
mentioning that with their collaborative work, do you think that they're still going to be able to collaborate with like other developers, like from software?
Do you mean Asobi Studios?
Yeah.
So I do think so. Um, I don't know if there's any truth to this, but feel like I've heard on multiple occasions that From and Sony in Japan aren't super happy with each other. I don't know if there's any validity to this because I'd have to go and I guess read up on that. But yeah, I don't want to spin any rumors, but I heard that it's not for example, getting the 60 FPS patch update from for the PlayStation 5 is probably difficult on two fronts. One, From is busy and maybe there's a money situation involved, and then two, this part of Studio Japan that would have done the work outside of Asobi is less, I guess, less of what they used to be. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like there's when it comes to the next game between From and PlayStation that would be exclusive. I don't know. I just feel like there's something there that we all might not
Yeah, I've
know
heard some
clearly.
people say some of that negativity is there, but I don't know because Sony did just partner with their parent studio for helping
This is
them on
true.
games. So
Yeah, Kadogawa,
yeah,
which I love.
but yeah, I definitely see because because like again, they did lose somebody that helped on Bloodborne team, so it does there could be that possibility that they might not be on good terms, but who knows going forward. Again, they're just supporting the Asobi team, but seeing how good that game that they gave away for free on PlayStation 5 and also the VR game was, do you see them having like that major success with their game like Sony is looking for?
Which game?
When it comes to the Astrobot series.
Yeah. So going forward, I think they're extremely talented. And I had not heard of the new lead of Studio Japan until that sudden announcement, basically this time last year. But for them to, one, have the VR game, have it loved, and then come out with a launch title that everybody says, oh, now some people have bold statements, but oh, this game competes with said Mario game, something like this. Wow. I think they deserve a lot of credit for that. And I think they deserve at least one sequel on PlayStation 5 that does something really cool. Maybe you could do a traditional campaign and then have some sort of VR component to that, especially with VR2. Like, what if VR2 launches with a expansion for something with Astrobot? That would be great.
That'll always be great, especially because I mean Japan's or the Zombie team isn't anything. It's like they have experience with VR again. Like Astrobot started off as a VR game, so they could always support the new VR that Sony just released or talked about regarding the information.
Yeah, to be honest, that could be their next release. The timing could be right. I mean, all we know is it's not coming out this year. The VR, that is.
And honestly, just talking about Astrobot real quick, I honestly do think that game has it can become a major hit, like Sony's own Mario, practically. I mean, I think that's what they're trying to do with Sackboy right now, with at least the newer game, Sackboy Big Adventure.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're trying to hope for with changing how the studio works now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I want them to have that shot. I think Sackboy is still well, I would say, when we're talking about appealing to all audiences in a range of ages, I love Sackboy, but Astrobot taking over, it sounds more diverse to me because of how Astrobot has been used and selling people the idea of the DualSense being the next generation controller. Um,
Didn't they actually use that little mascot when it came to the playroom?
Yeah, actually, you're right. If you're talking about that launch app with the PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I could definitely see them using him more often now.
Yeah, it kind of works. I really can't say anything against it. What would really blow my mind, though, is if Asobi does something that's within the IP, like within Studio Japan's IP list. I don't know what it would be, but if they just said, "Hey, yeah, we're doing Astrobot, but because we inherited some of these other developers, we're making this other, an Ape Escape or something," would be really cool.
I mean, it's always a possibility, but I don't know, because right now is a time where developers are really afraid to take risks nowadays too.
So. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see another Dreams level effort anytime soon.
At least not for a while. Real quick, I just want to shout out Indie Gamer for coming by and supporting the show. Really do have to shout out that man. He really does like his independent games, and I bet you he does care about Japan studios too, because their games would mostly like appeal to the indie crowd. Wouldn't you say, Kofi?
Yeah, I definitely agree with this. Shoot, I wish I had the list in front of me of some of the more niche games that I think indie would enjoy. Oh man, there's one.
Wasn't there a game called Little Fat Princess or something like that?
Oh yeah, Fat Princess. Man, you take it back PS3 era. Yeah, Battle Royale. Basically, keep feeding your princess cake to keep her from getting carried away because she would be so heavy by the enemy. It was like a capture the flag, but you can feed the flag.
Didn't they also have a PS4 version, or am I wrong there?
There was a PS Vita version. It might have been ported to PS4, but I don't remember. But yeah, there's definitely a Vita version that I never even tried. I don't even know if it was good.
I mean, I saw a little bit of gameplay from like a clip I found on YouTube, but it looked fun. It didn't really look like something that I would play personally. But
Yeah, I mean, well, it's funny because you're bringing up a time when I remember PlayStation 3, struggling with releases. So, being a hardcore, I was a much more vocal fanboy back then. So I would try literally anything that came out on the PlayStation 3, and it was very good though. And I mean, I just remember the chaos that you would have. I think there was like three different classes that you could play, and when it came to everybody crowding into a castle, you could always be clever, like most multiplayers, and try to like sneak in and either take advantage of extra kills or sneaking out the princess. And it was dope. I say that's a highlight for me, at least in the PS3 gen, for smaller titles.
all right, so I did make sure to pull up a list. They also did make a Loco Roco too. I remember that was a little bit of
Yes,
success for a
Loco
while.
Roco and Patapon. Can't forget
Yep.
about Patapon if you're a fan of Greg Miller. But yeah, Loco Roco was dope, man. Uh I There was two of them. There was one that came out on PSP, I want to say, but then there was a PS3 version which was also really good.
Yeah, I remember the PSP
Um
one actually. So that was actually one of the ones I actually played on there too.
oh yeah,
Yep.
Loco Roco. Did you also play Patapon on PSP?
No.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, both are really good.
They
But
also did
it's funny.
make the Prappa the Rapper game.
Was that the same studio? Oh, you mean
Yep.
just Japan in general?
Well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
I think it's credited to them. Uh,
Which had a PS4 remaster, and it looked like it was received okay.
okay, it might have been a collaborative work because it does have two studios under it, so like
Under
for
it.
listed developers. So I don't know if it was fully developed.
Yeah, it's hard to tell with Japan.
Yeah, again, they did a lot of collaborative work. Like they're even credited with some of the everybody's golf games.
Oh, yo. So everyone's golf is not a game I've played much. Actually, to be honest, I can't remember the last time I played it. But um, Hot Shots Tennis is one of my favorites, and I played that on my little PSP Go between lunch breaks when I was working in college. I loved that game, man. Hot Shot, and then the PS2 version was ported to PS4/5, so you can. Well, it's on PS Now, but you can download it, um, which is a different version. But I love Hot Shots Tennis, man. That's a game I wish came back.
I kind of wish that they could bring back White Knight Chronicles. I've never got to try out the franchise. Seeing it, it looked like they had a possibility to make that like into their Final Fantasy franchise.
Yeah, I'm in love with um, Level 5 in general, and yeah, White Knights Chronicles, Dark Cloud 2, and then there was a White Knight Chronicles game that came out on PSP that was never localized. Um, so yeah, speaking of that, I remember the first time seeing White Knight Chronicles gameplay and thinking that it was like at the time the most realistic JRPG I had ever seen. Just the way that, and I think maybe it was how would you say, um, shown to be better than the actual final release, but like the kinetics between uh attacking and seeing enemies block it, and like having like the characters sense the weight when they were defending. I remember seeing that thinking, oh my gosh, level 5 is the best thing ever. But I didn't spend a lot of time playing White Knight Chronicles. Me, I played the first Dark Cloud a lot. I played Rogue Galaxy a lot. My favorite game from them is probably a tactics game they made on PSP called Jeanne d'Arc. It is so good, so good. I miss that game so much. It's like their fictional retelling of with mystical magic and stuff like that of Jeanne d'Arc. Um, and of course Nino Kuni. But man, I miss level 5 so much. And to see their American office just kind of dissolve and go away,
Yeah, they're
that's
kind of
another
having that
thing.
opposite effect of Sony Japan, where their games globally aren't working out.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's studios like this that used to be the backbone of unique JRPGs, and now it's just like whatever. It really feels like that to me. Obviously, like for example, I have Yokai Watch 4. It was the first time a Yokai Watch game came out on PlayStation.
You know, I actually never knew that that was based on a game. I actually only knew about the series because of the anime show that they have.
And I know even less than that. I just literally, like, I would see like Inuzama 11 and Yokai Watch advertised all the time, and I was like, oh, I don't even know what this is really. And then when they announced the game, I was like, well, why not try it? But I've never seen an episode. Have you seen an episode of Yokai?
Here and there, because I know it. Because when I ever saw it, it was always on like Disney's older channel, Disney XD. They kind of
Oh,
show just like their action kind of shows.
I don't know they showed that on a US based channel.
Yeah, they tend to sometimes. Although it depends on what channel you watch, because like Warner Brothers, they have a Toonami on Cartoon Network, but that's only at like midnights on Fridays.
Yeah, that's another good one. Grew up watching Toonami.
But
Miss that stuff.
going back and talking about the problems. Now, do you think that Sony could possibly invest in a new developer in Japan?
Yes, and in fact, this developer I'm about to mention did a hiring event at the end of December because they're building an upgrade for their engine for PlayStation 5, the ASCA engine, I think it's called, and that's Tri-Ace. I freaking love Tri-Ace. Their last major game that they let me not lie. Their last significant game was Resonance of Fate or End of Eternity, which was like a gun-based battle system. I'm pretty sure you've seen it. That was amazing. But of course, they're known for Valkyrie Profile. They're known for the Star Ocean games, and then they made a game exclusive to, well, now it's on PC, but it was called Exist Archive. Played similar to Valkyrie Profile. They're making mobile games right now, and that makes me so mad. They are
It
part
seems like
of, or
mobile is the
they
way to go nowadays for them.
right, and I get it. It's like they know it's safe, but they know they're going to be employed for another 5, 10 years, for however long. But I want to see them return uh, to making like something as ambitious as Star Ocean 4. Obviously, like outside of what people think of it review wise, I think they were committing to the best RPG they can make with a really good budget. Star Ocean 5 is decent. I like the battle system a lot, but you could tell Square Enix didn't give them a lot of money, or maybe Sony, because it was exclusive to Sony for a while. Or did Starship 5 come out on anything except for PlayStation? I think Starship 5 only came out on PlayStation, so that might have been an exclusivity deal.
I'm not too sure because
So,
I've never really played the games actually, so I don't know too
mhm.
much about that.
But no. So to stick to your question, so Tri-Ace would be the first one. I did rant about Media Vision. I wish they would come back.
They are
Um,
working. I know it's not PlayStation related, but I know Sony is working with the Cyber Connect on that Demon Slayer game.
yes, I like if I'm going to be critical, I think they are fantastic for animations. I haven't really found their battle systems to be super engaging yet, but I don't know if that's because they're going safe, right? They're like, look, this is an anime. We need it to be approachable by everybody. Let's make it really accessible. I think if they were to kind of, you know, bunker down and really try, they could make something really special. Um, I want them to step outside of, oh, an anime game is just like load in, watch these amazing animations, and spam one button. Whether it's something like um, My Hero Academia, Naruto. Um, but yeah, it's good to see them back. By the way, I don't remember the last time a Cyber Connect 2 game even
I think
was.
they were actually worked on a Dragon Ball game. Or
Oh, okay, Fighter Z, or
I
maybe the other one. Not no, that's Arc System Works. I'm sorry. The Xenoverse or something like this.
yeah, I think it was one of the Xenoverse games that they worked on actually. I'm not too sure which one. I have to look that up.
That makes sense.
But
Um,
yeah, they are working with a few Japanese developers, even if it's not strictly under the PlayStation brand. So they could always invest in one of these
yeah.
studios.
Yes. Yeah, those three I think are great. I don't want to drop it. There's one other one that I really would want to see return. If I remember, I'll yell it out, but I can't. It's not on the tip of my tongue right
Now, do you see Polyphony Digital being affected by this at all?
now. From what I know, not at all. And the only reason I say that is for the first time in like a Halley's Comet forever, Polyphony Digital allowed GT Planet, I want to say it's whatever enthusiast Gran Turismo interview site, actually go on site. And Yamauchi was talking about how many different offices Studio Polyphony Digital has. I
Oh,
think it's
no,
like they
I
just
looked it up and
added.
it says like they have like what, like 8 studios or eight.
Yeah, they have like, and I'm like, there's no way they're downsizing. And the way that Gran Turismo Sport has been, supported all over the world with some of these international competitions, I think they're going to be sticking around for a long time. Even though Sport only sold like I think they hit barely 9 or 10 million, but those competitions are hype, and they're like to me maybe this is not a sign of popularity, but the streams for Gran Turismo are streamed in like 10 languages, like for anywhere in the world, and I'm just not used to that. Um, and it almost feels like another planet because most of the space that we operate in, right, doesn't even talk Gran Turismo. Um, and then when you go there, it's this island with all these fans. Um, so I appreciate it. And yeah, if they go anywhere, I would be so mad. But I don't think that's happening.
Well, 10 million isn't really that small of a number either. It's still a huge success.
Yeah, it's like one of their best-selling franchises, right? I think it's like
Yeah,
the
but
first
it's
or
I don't think it's near like the numbers of their like past entries though, right?
yeah. I know that Gran Turismo, not three. I mean, three sold well, but I think five really sold well. Um, but I can't remember the numbers. I apologize.
It's
That
actually
was the
funny that
top
you
of my head.
mentioned how big they are, because I think that was exactly the reason that they closed what was it, Sagnosis or Liverpool in its final moments, because of how like
Mm.
that was expanding a lot too, and like near the end of their expansion, they shut them down.
Oh dang! I don't now. Remind me, Studio. Oh, you talking about Studio Liverpool, the Wipeout team?
Yeah,
Okay,
well, I think it was before, like right before they were just focusing on Wipeout and Formula One.
that's right. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I had heard anything before they shut down, but I just remember their PSP game had come out, and then they had like a remaster on PS3, and then that amazing game came out on PS4. Um, they had like the 60 frames per second. It was the VR support that came later. But yeah, you're right. They were gone. Couldn't tell
But
you why.
I just really want to ask this real quick. Now, do you think that's with the Asobi team? Do you think they had the possibility of just like managing to flip this whole situation around and probably like making new IPs if they're successful enough?
Mm. Um, I don't know. I think that I think it's definitely possible.
Now, let me throw this in there. So Sony has really closed a lot of studios ever since the PS3 generation, like when it ended and we entered the PS4 generation. They had a lot of studios that were smaller, such as the team that originally made what was it? What's that game with the skeleton? That's a knight. They just
Medieval,
remastered the game too.
medieval, right?
Yeah, Medieval. That team got
Hmm.
shuttered, and they were mostly making small games at the time.
Yep. There are. I agree. Um, I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you though.
No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. From PS3 through the beginning of PS4, the biggest hit to my heart was probably Zipper. I was a big fan of SOCOM. I really liked Mag, and then of course they had their Vita game. Uh, Another one that is it kind of got shrunk into obscurity, and it wasn't first party, but they did like a second party deal. Was Lightbox Interactive that made Starhawk.
Oh no, yeah, I remember that, but I think it wasn't that that they shrunk. I think it was because they were shifting focus from console gaming over to mobile gaming. Actually,
Yeah, actually, I think you're actually right about that.
the same thing happened with Superbot though. Now that you mention it,
Right. Oh, which one?
Superbot Entertainment.
Super.
They were the ones behind PlayStation All Stars.
Oh yeah, shoot. Yeah, that was another disappointment one. And then when we heard about the ideas they had for additional characters, oh man, it could have been.
I actually just found out about that too.
Oh god. Oh my goodness. Yeah, for people who may not know that, from their old RPG Legend of Dragoon, Dart was a possible addition to the roster. Wow, that would have been really cool, and allows for the community to build interest in some of these older IPs to return, because that's worked for other IPs. Um, so yeah, that's another one that's disappointing. By the way, one of my favorite games in the PlayStation 3 generation was Motorstorm Pacific Rift, and
Ah, yes.
Evolution closed. Yeah,
It wasn't just them, but they also had they also had a studio that they bought with Evolution Studios. What was it? Big Studios.
oh yeah, yeah, I remember Big because they had a launch title on Vita. And they had a VR game, right? I
Yep.
think they had both.
Real quick, I see FC typing boo in the chat.
Boo!
What's up,
My
FC?
man, FC. Oh man, I hope everything's nice over there on the West Coast, my guy.
Wonder how's your move going along, FC? I don't want to say too much, but I do have something planned with FC going on in the future once he's done
Sweet.
moving. Yep.
Yeah, the obviously you would know just as well as me that Vitamin G is on a slight pause, so there's a lot to talk about when we return. But I guess we'll just have to skip to the newest news. I'm sure between now and when the show returns, it'll be whatever next topic.
I mean, if FC feels like giving us any information early on the show, but anyways, going back to the topic. So, yeah, like I mentioned before, so Sony's really been closing a lot of their smaller studios, and I really think that's going to be hard for Asobi to try to expand again. But do you see it as a possibility?
So I believe that Jim Ryan understands the process a studio needs to go through to be the best in the industry. We wouldn't be here talking about how great Naughty Dog is unless they had doubled down after Uncharted. Drake's Fortune came out and was just maybe between the good, like that's a really good game. Like that's it. Let's look at the fact that Sucker Punch Productions, I don't think has ever been nominated for a game. But the investment and the ability to say, hey, you go make what you want. We got, our infamous, infamous second, not second son, but the first infamous might have been awarded some things. And the second one was reviewed well. But I don't remember them ever being at a VGAs, also considering the VGAs isn't that old. But regardless, the competition is as high as it'll ever be, right? And they come out and they knock it out the park with a brand new game. That's the process every studio needs to go through. I hope I can tell the story about Bend making that jump for number 2. If number 2 comes out and it gets, let's just throw out a number, 86 Metacritic, there might be a narrative to tell here that even though leadership left Studio Bend, they can still double down on this world and make it better. Let's take
I think Ben
example.
always has always had that just that talent there. I mean, their games on the PSP and PS Vita weren't bad at all.
Yes. Yo, Golden Abyss is a good game. I just replayed it last October. Very good game. It is like, it might be the stepchild, right? The whatever stepchild that you forget, but the dialogue and the action and the length of the game is all really good. You know what I think? I think Bend is afraid their games are considered too short. After seeing something like Days Gone and how long Uncharted Golden Abyss was, I'm like, don't worry, guys. You make appropriate length games because I literally was like, "There's another chapter in this Uncharted game." Like, this is a
Even the
mega
Resistance
game.
games they did too reviewed well too. So
Yeah, that game was. That's right. Yeah, Uncharted Golden Abyss got good reviews. I literally was like holding my hand out, laughing, hearing Drake and Sully talk. I just miss them so much. So yeah, Studio Bend is another example of that graduation step. Another one that we're seeing coming out in the next 60 days, Returnal. If Returnal is in the, great range, they came from Matterfall. That's really great stuff. Now the $70 price tag might get them beat up, but still they made their, fully 3D with some narrative that we're understanding. I'm really rooting for them, especially because I don't think there's anything else coming out
after
for
Returnal,
PlayStation like in that. In the near, like June is,
oh yeah, well,
June for
well they're hoping for Horizon Zero Dawn to release like sometime like at
that's
the end
true.
of the
But
year, right?
that's true. They get. I guess what I'm trying to say is they get like a 30-day window where all people will talk about is Returnal, right? If it's great, it's great. If it's not, it's gonna be forget
You
this.
know, right now, like I'm a big fan of the game because I'm a big fan of just looter games practically, just like Hades because those roguelike games are always fun to me.
Yo, so
I see FC hating on Horizon Zero Dawn right now.
I think he does fall asleep playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I don't know how, but he does.
That game has such a great narrative. I don't understand why some people find it boring.
For me, the gameplay is too sharp. I like that they empower like every movement you do. For me to not like it. But really quick. So speaking of like roguelike, well, have you played any other Housemarque games like Dead Nation?
No, but I've wanted to.
Oh my gosh, I love
The
Dead
only other
Nation.
game I played really was Resogun.
Okay, yeah, Resogun's really good. Um, there's a couple other games Housemarque released during the PS4 generation that I didn't play. I had to go look it up. I
You know,
forget what it
there are
is.
quite a few actually.
Yeah, there's like three or at least three games they released last gen.
But
But nothing like this.
I will say though that the tension right now that Returnal is getting is really lacking behind other games right now that are popular.
Yeah, I was seeing some of those. I guess what is it like interaction with videos? There's ways to track statistics on that, and yeah, they're gonna.
It's gonna
It's
struggle
gonna
for
be
a bit,
tough,
I bet. But if it does get good reception, it'll probably sell well.
right? And I hate to say it, I think. Well, I don't know how much the price tag hurts impressions of the game, but then people talk about, is it Kina? Kina being $40.
That
And
oh my god, I cannot believe that
now
game's
these games don't
$40.
release anywhere near each other, right? They're not gonna compete, but still, that $40 price tag is like,
So,
why
some people are
wouldn't
actually
I?
thinking that game's gonna be short.
That is the only thing I can expect from this. When it looks that good for that price, it
And
like
also, it's that studio's first ever game too.
true. That's true. I think of something like Concrete Genie, same price, much shorter game. Now that's their second studio, but I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be shorter. Probably going to be great. You can forgive the length, right? A little bit.
Yeah, especially with how good that game looks in the narrative too. It
Yeah, I can't.
you know they're also huge. The team is actually huge fans of Zelda. Made a fan. I think it was like a little movie, like 5 minutes, like a fan made movie of Majora's Mask.
Really?
Yeah,
I might have to look that up.
it's actually on their YouTube channel too. It has 10 million views.
Oh shoot. Yeah, they're kind of in my blind spot. I don't know much about the studio.
I actually been learning quite a bit about them. There is some turmoil going on behind the scenes. Like one of their artists left.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that's why it was delayed.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I guess it was almost a full year delay. right? Because it's supposed to come out November,
Yep.
November to August. Yeah, it's like 9 months.
But I do have to ask you this: were you surprised at all when Sony said that those games that Japan studios made weren't profitable at all, even in Japan?
I was not surprised. But what I have to double check is we're talking Shadow of the Colossus. Well, what do you mean exactly? Do you mean like developed solely by Asobi, or do you mean including collaboration?
Including, well, not just Asobi, but like the other teams they used to have, like with
I can see that. Like I think uh, someone had brought it up in the last podcast I was on. The last Guardians sales not breaking a million probably hurt the most. It being released 3 years in to the PlayStation 4's generation, and then we know the PS3. I don't even need to talk about that, right? That return on investment is abysmal, and but at the same time, there I'm sure Bloodborne did great. I'm sure that I think Shadow of the Colossus did fairly well. I don't really know. And then what else did they work on? Okay, and then Gravity Rush 2, I think, also sold maybe under a million
ooh, I actually don't. I thought it was. I thought they sold about 1 million with that game.
for Gravity Rush 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about right. Um, and then they had their VR game that they collaborated on with from 2018,
Yeah,
which I don't want to
Diercine or whatever it's called.
scene. I don't know how to say that. I'm glad you said it because I don't know. Um, yeah, that game, I guess, was good for whatever market they targeted. Eh, All in all, I think you're right. I'm not surprised. I don't think they sold really well. That we'd at least see a sequel from some of these games. So it's really tough. It's really
I do want
like
to give my thoughts about this. Now, I always thought of them like how Nintendo makes their games. They solely do the games for fun. You know, that's their motto. They make games for fun first. And I always thought that these games had the potential. No matter like even if they were small games too, they always had the potential to sell well. I was just bummed at that news that none of them sold well, really. Even in Japan too, where it was their main focus.
I agree. And you, you're when you reflect, it brings you back to the interview with Shuhei and how when the mobile market took off, that really punched Studio Japan in the face. A lot of their games that were coming out on Vita just were not competitive enough. And even if you include the migration to the bigger platform, the PlayStation 4, we're talking 4 titles. One of which we already know their eternal history.
Now, bringing up
So
the mobile market, I think it's pretty obvious that Japan has moved away from consoles in general, seeing how the PS5 isn't selling like that much in Japan compared to the Nintendo Switch. So,
Nintendo
do you
Switch,
think
yeah,
being stuck to just a console has hurt Japan studios?
absolutely, absolutely. Which, by the way, I don't know if you had seen the rumor, and I think this is super close to hearsay. Like literally, what one person said, but marketing head for PlayStation mentioned the idea that another handheld
Yes, I have
device
seen
might
this rumor
come.
actually.
Yeah, you see, okay. Which I don't think it should be taken seriously. I just want to throw that out there because I'm hopeful and all this. Okay, the reason why I do think that hurts Sony is because a lot of while their smaller studios in Japan or smaller teams in Japan focused on PSP too much, and I think it came as a negative because their tech all fell behind. There were many developers that made a game in the handheld space and could then have their tools set up, make profit, and then you have enough to give a sequel that's more ambitious from a technical standpoint. Yeah, Gravity Rush 2 is a perfect example of that, in my opinion. Exist Archive is probably a really good example. Again, that's the Tri-Ace game that played a lot like Valkyrie Profile. Um, I don't know how a small studio with half the production value of a Western studio gets ramped up and gets some money back without being part of the handheld market as popular as it is in Japan. And um, while right now, a lot of those smaller games we know are getting released on both, which is good. Good that PlayStation still has these smaller titles still coming out on PlayStation, but PlayStation isn't marketing them as part of their ecosystem. Switch is kind of taking that.
Yep.
Trying to think of like, I don't know. There's a lot of like smaller titles that I'm sorry, not Vita, that Switch is getting. That you know, oh yeah, it's on. Like, oh, for another game that's coming out this year, Disgaea 6. Disgaea 6 on PlayStation in the West is literally, I haven't heard anybody talk about it. I personally am going to get it, the Japanese version that was released simultaneously, but over here, it's just Switch, which I hear doesn't run too great, by the way.
Ooh, that
That's
sucks.
disappointing.
Well,
It has
to
frame
be
rate issues.
fair though, it is the Switch, which is really underpowered compared to just like the newer consoles. So
Yeah,
I
it's
can't see that, but
about time to get that upgrade for the Switch, right? It's been, oh no, actually 2017, so I guess give them another year, 5-year run.
you think that there's gonna be a Switch Pro?
Oh yeah, I wouldn't say 2021 though.
I kind of have my doubts about that. Because
Really?
yeah, okay, so hear me out. Nintendo's never really been about power. They've kind of abandoned that ever since the GameCube. That's my only reason why I don't see them doing a Switch Pro, because they never really cared about power. Even when the Wii and Wii U came out, they were really underpowered too.
How many years do you think until the next console?
Ooh, it's kind of hard to say, seeing as the Switch is like really doing good numbers for them.
True.
I could see them doing another revision of the Switch though, like changing up how it looks, like how they did with the mini Switch.
That makes sense. I agree with this.
Because that's what they did with the DSs too, with the DS, the first DS, the 2DS XL, and the 3DS. Like there weren't anything major, like anything like major in terms of upgrades of hardware, but
Yeah, that's a good
they
point.
were just enough to just add like some small quality of life improvements when it came to games at least.
Do you know how many units Switches sold off the top of your head?
No,
Just
not
curious.
personally, but I heard they passed the Xbox. That was the last I heard how well they were doing.
So
At least
like
the
maybe,
Xbox One.
yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, just
I hear they're approaching almost 100 million.
okay, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. When I see those numbers, I'm like, geez, they're still killing it.
Also bringing that up too, the PS Vita was actually still selling a lot in Japan too when that was still out.
Yeah, and for them to not only reimagine the Vita 2, like their better battery version. I own both versions, and then them to triple down and do the PS Vita TV. There was a market for it.
Was there?
And there's some great games on Vita. Now, don't get me wrong, it does not outclass the PSP library, but the fact that it's backwards compatible, and had trophy support, um, just made it so amazing to me. I literally have been playing Vita a lot the last 5 years.
That's why I think that
Uh,
there needs to be a new Vita because Sony has the
yeah,
potential to just like at least compete with Nintendo when it comes to handheld the market at least.
yeah.
I think what is though is that Sony is just afraid of just doing it again and having that same mistake that they did last time when it came to the
I
memory
agree.
cards.
Yeah, like the memory card situation, the lack of engagement situation. I could see a Vita 2 or a PSP 3, whatever, come out, and everybody's like, but I've got my phone, and my phone has, I don't know, a Snapdragon whatever, and
Well, if
it can
anything, I
just
think the
run
Switch
mint.
proves that there's still there's still some care for at least for at least non-mobile gaming. You know,
I see what you're saying. That's true. That's true. They're gonna have to really hit hard with the mobile market. They're gonna need, like, let's say a PSP 3 came out today, they need a competitor for Bravely Default 2. And right now they don't have a studio in Japan to do it.
Yep.
Uh, and that's like, where it hits. They'd have to go, hey, all right, Tri-Ace, all right, level 5, let's see what you got. Or Falcom has a lot of games that are still locked. Okay, no, they've got like just a couple of games that are still locked to just PlayStation Portable. Like E7 is only on PSP, and like some of the ones that are only in Japan, like Trails to Zero and Azure, all that stuff. They would need them to be putting in some work, because Bravely Default is a pretty big hitter.
Now, talking about all this, do you see my point? Like how I think Japan Studios is hurting because of the lack of them Sony not having at least a mobile platform to put their games on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think once the mobile space disappeared for Sony, to your point, they're just not interested in those studios that would have made great games, like Level 5 or Tri-Ace. And those studios probably could be given a good heap of money to make a good AA, AAA effort.
Well, I think
But I guess
Level 5 tried, at least when it came to the Ni no Kuni franchise, but I don't think that worked out for them.
I agree. I mean, I heard that Ni no Kuni 2 didn't sell. I think it broke 1 million, but I
Yeah.
don't think it was like impressive, or whatever their sales goal might have been. But yeah, I agree. I think a lot of JRPGs have taken risks and not sold great. I mean, even Persona 5, obviously I think it's profitable, but I don't think it's sold like crazy numbers. I can't remember what it was.
The last time I heard anything, I think it was like sold like 5 million worldwide.
Yeah, exactly. Very like profitable but conservative.
Although to be fair, I think when it comes to Sega, they're not really too picky about numbers. Like the Yakuza series, that's never really done like huge numbers, even on PlayStation.
Good point. Even though I think that they have been doing better and better as they've gone along. I know Judgment was looked upon favorably, and I think Yakuza 7 also sold pretty well. So that's good to hear. But you're right. I don't think they're doing like 5 million for any particular game.
Yeah. I think honestly, they need to keep that talent alive there though in Japan Studios, or else I just feel like there's just gonna be a lot more criticism aimed at them for like just abandoning Japan.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I hang out with a lot of the, I guess would you say, like uh, a lot of like editors that review Japanese games, and they'll do translations and stuff like that, and they are furious. I don't want to like name out any one particular person, because I don't know if that would uh, be rude or not, and no ill will against him, but he's just like, I would be furious if the studio officially closes down. And this small circle, that I hang out in, I feel like kind of echoes across, like the wider fan base, the issues with, censorship, which I think is really controversial, because a lot of the censorship is worse in Japan, not necessarily worse in the West. Maybe we can have
Yeah,
a conversation about that later.
and I see a lot of a lot of Westerners kind of confusing that, thinking that censorship over here is bad, but over there, especially with what was it? What's their version of the? I think it was Sero. How do you pronounce it?
It's a game.
No. The people that are actually in charge of rating games over there.
Oh yes.
I think it is Sero.
Sero. Yeah, I think you're right. For some reason.
Yeah. Savage actually confirmed it. Yeah, it is Sero.
Yeah, you are.
Although I think I'm pronouncing it wrong. But yeah, and on top of that, I know Sony does have they have their own censorship thing going on in Japan too. So like they'll censor a lot of
Right.
violence over there.
Exactly. That makes me upset when I look at like how they turn down the violence, way down. I'm like, what the heck is this? Most of the censorship I've seen for the West is the idea of censorship is disappointing. When I see exactly what they're censoring, it's hard for me to get really passionate about it. I'll be dead honest with you. Um, but I wish it didn't happen either way. I do like that, the Switch has. It seems to be that they just let it go.
I understand. I understand the criticism. I'm no big fan either, but I do have to understand it. When it comes to shipping games to another market, they do have to try to make sure they don't cross any lines. Like, especially
Right.
when it comes to like shipping games, like how they're trying to sell the PS4 in China. China has their own strict rules.
Yeah, China is that's a whole nother beast, dealing with I don't know, supporting the community out there. I'm sure you had heard about the competitor who was playing. I don't even know. Maybe it was League of Legends,
Oh no, yeah, I heard about that.
and then that whole situation. But
Oh, FC is a big fan of Level 5. I didn't know that.
yeah, he likes Ni no Kuni. And I think he likes another game, that maybe Rogue Galaxy FC. I can't remember. But yeah, really quick, you were talking about wait, do you want to stay on the censorship or before that?
uh, uh, I don't know. It depends on what you want to keep talking about.
To be honest, I think I wanted to say something before we went to censorship, but while we're on that subject, um, yeah, violence getting toned down. You brought up something really interesting: sensitivity to things in the West. Something like knowing that there are like maybe religious, what would you say, taboos in some Japanese games. Um, you know, text or themes might be subdued a little bit. Oh, here's another great example. One of my favorite Tales games, it's called Tales of Rebirth. Never localized. Why? Well, okay, I don't know this for sure, but in my opinion, racism. There, one of my favorite characters is discriminated against nastily, because he's not a human. And for example, when you can switch between what main character you're controlling. If you talk to somebody, they'll literally have a different set of dialogue, like "Get away from me, you trash." And I think that those types of themes just don't to Namco Bandai at the time. They're like, "Look, this game not going over the West. All right, look, chill." But it's literally my favorite game. It is, in my opinion, the darkest Tales of game I've spent time with. I know that Berseria is probably up there in darkness. I need to spend more time with
Oh, this is
Berseria.
interesting. I never heard about this.
Oh my gosh, yeah, like I love Tales of Rebirth so much, and the way that I mean, I'm sure there are other RPGs that are great examples as well, but this one, there's just so much murder of people because they're different. And I think I was stuck in a town, not realizing that I needed this, because I almost always played as, because one of my favorite characters is his name is Eugene. Not to mix up with Tales of Grace's F. I know people know Eugene from Tales of Grace's F, but yeah, there's Guma from Rebirth, who I just love to play as. I found his character awesome. The sacrifices he makes in the story is awesome, and I kept forgetting that I needed to talk to somebody as the main character because he was a human. So that was, yeah, that's the type of censorship that, well, that's not censorship, right? That's just like them saying we're not going to try to blow this up in our own face, even though obviously fans would have wanted it,
Yeah.
and freedom of expression and all this stuff.
Real quick, I see FC bring up a point. He sees Japan Studios going defunct. But I can see that as a possibility. As like we talked before, they did close a lot of their smaller studios.
So, long term, I think FC has a very valid point. There are some pieces of evidence that suggest for the next 5 years, into a healthy portion of this generation, I think Studio Japan will be fine. Why? I'm seeing a lot of events for developers to come and make unique games at Studio Japan like they used to before 2012. So, you heard my rant on the other podcast. Um, 40 games were being made. Alan Becker showed up and basically shut down like 60% of them or 80% of whatever. That type of energy, Shuhei went out to Studio Japan to reinvigorate just last December. So there was an event That studio. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was right before COVID. So this is December 2019. Um, so I think they're still in the space to have people come out, make their unique games, and maybe Studio Japan will pick up on them. That's something a lot like XDev, which is basically the European branch of Helpers.
Yeah.
Also, Studio Japan still does localization. They are the number one localizer for all first party. So there's
So they'll be
still like
useful for that at least too.
right. I mean, FC's not wrong. I mean, in my opinion, again, they could easily just keep the bare bones, keep the train on the tracks, do the localization, support Asobi. I think Asobi will stick around.
So quick comparison, I just like kind of think that like they could just strip them down and just make them like how Activision made Raven Software stuck to Call of Duty.
Oh, disgusting! How EA makes like Criterion do. I don't know. Well, most of the developers from Criterion went and did their own thing. But yeah, I see your point, and that would be really disappointing. I really hope that you
Either
and I
way,
were
if the Sobi
talking
team doesn't
about
prove if the Sobi team doesn't prove their worth, I could see those as possibilities.
right,
Because
right.
Sony's never been
Making it
afraid to do that either.
right. It's almost like Studio Japan reflects a lot of the, as I put it earlier, meandering that developers may do in Japan. And while that may not work on a global stage, I still think it's important for culture and creativity in Japan. So, to see something like that go, it's gonna. I
Maybe
think
they could
it's.
turn them into something like
I
how
don't know if it's gonna
XDev
hurt.
works nowadays.
Right,
Because the way
right.
I think XDev is a successful like way of how they handle like their own developers, because they do grow their own people in that studio, and just like do a lot of collaborating with other studios.
Right, and they're helping Housemark.
Yep. The same thing goes for what was it, San Mateo Studio?
Yes, exactly.
I could see them trying to turn Japan studios into more of how they have those, because Surprise Studios never hurt anyways either.
Right. You could keep somebody like Kojima close, do second party partnerships for, I don't know, 10 years, that's 4 games, maybe 3, 4, 5 games. Then see how the relationship looks at that point.
Al-
Maybe he
Although, have you seen the recent rumors regarding Kojima and Microsoft?
I did. I did see that Xbox. Well, I didn't actually read the rumor directly. What did
Well,
it?
so a lot of people are guessing because of the statue in the back of Phil Spencer's
Oh
office.
yeah, yeah. I forgot about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
people really do like analyzing stuff.
yeah. And it was right. There was a switch there too, right? So he's like, oh,
Yep.
maybe he's gonna buy Nintendo. Um, we'll see. We'll see. It would be an interesting pickup for Xbox. To me, well, I mean, I guess it could be a fit. Kojima is always going to be like, I want to do
You
this
see,
because this is
I find Kojima to be really unique because he's not like other
right,
developers. He's
right. He
really
may not
expressive.
necessarily want to make like the best looking game, so he may not necessarily take advantage of hardware. Um, he may not, yeah, he may not make a game that appeals to like the mass fan base of the West. So that's a wild card. Like, I'm curious what other Japanese developers inside of this whole acquisition are going to do. Shinji Mikami, what is he going to do after Ghostwire Tokyo? I think that's a huge tell. He could, if
Well, Shinji
X.
Mikami hasn't really been making video games himself, has he? I think he's mostly just been running that Tango Gameworks.
I agree. I don't know how much hands-on he's been there.
I do know that that one what was her name? That one that was on the E3 stage for Bethesda. She left that.
Yeah, I forget her. Yeah, she left quick, which was interesting.
I don't know. I know he took over to a point, but I don't know to what extent he's working on it on Ghostwire Tokyo.
No, I think you have a great point. I think let's say that that's 100% true, and he's just keeping the lights on. Huge waste of talent. I uh, I don't think he gets enough credit for how influential Resident Evil 4 was, and to a lesser extent, Vanquish. So if I was Phil Spencer, I'd be like, look, what do you want to make over here at Tongo? Let's take that risk. You're already here, and what do we have to lose? I mean, Xbox already isn't a massive market there yet.
Yeah,
Make something that's easily accessible on Game Pass. Uh, Take advantage of the X.
and the Evil Within franchise isn't small either. It's been having some decent success.
Which game? Oh, you talking about Evil Within?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think Evil Within is. I mean, I think it's fun. Um, and I think horror games work in Japan. I'm curious if they'll return to that series. So let me ask you this: what would you want Shinji Mikami to make?
that's kind of hard because I liked him during his days when he was with Platinum.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Would you want him to make another game that's with a similar system?
Yeah, at least to me, because I'm not a big fan of horror games, in all
Mm.
honesty. That's why I never really touched Evil Within. I mean, I knew about it, but I never really bothered to get it.
The thing that I think that bothered me the most about the game is it definitely was scary. I think running from so many things was kind of like I'm not
It needed
really
something to
feeling
break
it
up the
100%.
pace. Like it needed like some
Yeah,
combat.
exactly. I would have enjoyed something at least where in Resident Evil, opening half of the game, you might be all right, let me get out of here. But then there's a point where you could be crafty. Um, I wish Evil Within had that a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know what I would have him make either. But I do know I'd probably aim for something original. I think that really makes people care about their work. I don't know if that's true or not. I just feel like when people say,
Now,
I can make whatever I want.
I have to ask this on the topic of horror. Do you see this affecting the was it yeah, the Silent Hill rumors that have been going around that Sony would be getting exclusivity for the a new game?
From what, Tango?
No. Silent Hill, because you know how a lot of people have been saying that game's gonna be
Oh,
revived.
okay. I do believe it. I think it's at least timed. So I guess technically no, if you're talking about long term. I think it would be released to PC at least. I do believe this rumor. I don't know how brave that is, but because we've heard it from multiple sources, because it seems like something smart Sony would do to reach out to Konami to get the license. Um, I definitely think it. Um, I think they're saving it for some announcement, end of the year or June.
Now,
Um,
I think
but yeah,
everyone thought that Sony Japan would have done something with it because you like what was it, a few months ago, those developers that left to form Bokeh, they were still working at Japan Studios, so a lot of people thought that they were going to work on it. So I think that's
yes,
changed a lot.
it's a little bit of a slap in the face. From my perspective, maybe that's saying too much. But yeah, I agree. Um, but somebody else working on hearing the rumors that it's the worst kept secret and that various developers have come to collaborate on this work tells me that maybe outside of Bokeh, because I think they're doing their own thing, some of the other devs around Studio Japan's team might be over there working on Silent Hill.
Huh.
Maybe.
I
But
mean,
yeah, I think the game is definitely happening.
no, it's definitely possible. But wasn't there also some rumors saying that Bloober team would be working on it?
Oh, I did hear that. Yeah, that's right. I did hear that. Well, I guess hey, we'll see what happens. I don't think I respect Bloober for the improvement they made year to year, or release to release. So if they're supporting that, hey man, it's another graduation step for them.
True. I guess that's the last important question though I had to ask because it is a pretty big topic too. Everyone seems so excited for a new Silent Hill game. It's just like it's kind of hard to just not talk about that.
Yeah, I think especially after what happened with PT, um, it was like, what the F, Konami. Um,
Yeah.
so
Although,
yeah, and
although
that's
lately
not that
they've
long ago.
been restructuring Konami, haven't they, with their developers?
So I don't know what's going on with Konami. I don't I know that they
Because
released
they
that
haven't
young
even
Metal
put
Gear
out new
5.
PES, right?
Exactly. At least I don't think they did.
And that was a successful franchise for them.
Right. Exactly. Easy for them. Right.
Yeah.
Annualized. Um, update the roster. Update the engine.
Other than that, they mostly stuck to Yu-Gi-Oh though. But I'm still surprised that they would do this.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely something that I'm I get it. I think the pachinko or whatever business they're typically in is probably got way more profitable, consistent income. But at the same time, at least license out all your stuff. Wait, let me make sure I have my facts straight. Yeah, Suikoden, underrated series at this point. I don't know many people who talk about it because the last game came out on, I think it was actually on PSP and DS. And of course, the Eiyuden, I guess the spiritual successor that's being funded, fan funded, is the only way we're going to get anything like it. So they have all these dormant IPs, Castlevania. Just give it to somebody else. I think they can definitely take advantage of this.
yeah, definitely agree. Although I think honestly, it's not just the pachinko machines, but they also own that Yu-Gi-Oh card game too. So they're making big banks off of that because that's a big moneymaker.
That's right. I forgot about
Yeah, a lot of people forget that they own the card game.
that. Yeah, you're right. That's huge. That's consistent too.
Yep. You see, that's why I don't. That's why, like, whenever I see like people bring up the rumor of Microsoft buying Konami, I don't see that because they're more than just gaming now.
Yeah, and obviously, I guess us sitting here on our couch and saying, shaking our fist, but I think Silent Hill sales will say a lot. I
Yeah.
don't think Suikoden's coming back, which hurts, but I think Castlevania could.
I don't know. Castlevania definitely could, especially because they still have that anime series going with Netflix that's really popular.
That's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
Although I don't know about Metal Gear's fate right now, other than that movie that is still in the works.
There's a Metal Gear movie that's actually in the works?
Yeah, you never heard about that?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
they actually got who is the
Wait, is
original?
David
Who's the
Hayter part
original?
of it?
Huh?
David Hayter's in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I did hear about this. I didn't read the article, or I saw some video like David Hayter like interviewed something movie, and I I apologize. I think I just passed over it. But yeah, Hayter's that's great. That's great. That Kiefer Sutherland, do your thing. But it's good to hear Hayter is back.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't even know if anything's gonna be happening with that because it kind of seems like it's been stuck in the kind of like limbo of never gonna be shown off. You know,
Mm, okay, I did not hear that.
it's like it's been in development for years now. So it's like I've just kind of been like, are we gonna see anything at some point?
Yeah, I really hope that they get good writing. And I think without, I'm sure Kojima's not doing anything with it, right? I'm
No,
sure that's hard.
I don't even think he's involved in it.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard.
I mean, unless he takes some inspiration from the games, I maybe.
Right. Yeah, they're gonna have to, if they try to mimic storylines that might be safer at the same time. If you get one thing wrong, fans will scream at you.
Yeah.
Lolly lule low. My
Uh,
goodness.
I guess that's all I had to really talk about. Do you have anything else to add, like regarding this? So, like, do you think that we'll ever get like a new studio out of Japan that could probably still make new IPs?
Um,
Because besides Polyphony Digital, they're just stuck to doing Gran Turismo. They won't change out of that at all.
I think so for sure. So, well, I don't want to misquote FC. I think he said he could see Studio going defunct. Not that he
Yeah,
wants it or thinks it will or anything like that. Um, uh, I absolutely believe there will be another studio.
because in a time like this, where Microsoft is buying a bunch of studios and Tencent is too, this is a time where these companies need more content.
Yeah, yes. Like I think what um directly, in my opinion, makes it almost like inevitable that there'll be some sort of Studio Japan outside of Asobi is um like there are too many different development teams that could make some huge, like I don't know how to describe it, but we have a wealth of mobile games. We have a wealth of A and double A games that are available on Switch, or PC and all this. Every once in a while, fans are, even in Japan, I believe, are looking for the next big project, like a Final Fantasy 16, but something that may step outside of what Square Enix might do, or the next big publisher, I would say, is Namco Bandai. That's going to be Sony. I just believe that will be eventually.
So you think that they might
Because
go?
there's so many contractors out there.
Do you think that Sony might try to partner with Bandai Namco?
Let me think about that before I commit to it.
No,
I think
no,
there
no.
could be.
You won't be wrong because Sony Pictures is working, or Aniplex is working close with them on publishing anime games.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, publishing anime games. So like you were talking about CD Project Red. There's just so many studios out there that if you, I guess, get the marketing right and give them the potential to grow, they could be the next big IP for the PlayStation brand. Uh, like more in the double A to triple A space. I'm not saying it needs to be like Uncharted. I mean, The Last of Us or something like this. But
You know,
I just,
I can see that.
it's not like it's, I don't know, other areas of the world where dev teams are scarce. There is like a cavalcade of teams in Japan. One of them is going to be, picked up again and given a chance. One studio I got to shout out really quick. I think that they have an underrated glow up is Omega Force. They're the developers between Zelda: Age of Calamity, I think it's called, and then of course the new Persona 5 Strikers. Great game. The writing is so good in that game. I'm pretty sure the Persona team wrote it. I don't mean to take away from the Omega Force, but the story's too darn good. I'm sitting there like I literally go between like high intensity action to like putting my controller down in a positive way and enjoying these characters. And I haven't played Calamity Age, but I've been told that Calamity Age's story doesn't even compare uh, to Strikers.
Real quick though,
So,
I just want to bring this studio up as a possibility. What about the one ran by Famitsu Ueda?
Fumito. Oh yeah, Gen Design, right? I think is what it's called.
Yeah, although there hasn't been any game announced from them yet, they are still working
right,
something.
right. I'll be honest. I think they're working something small to get their feet wet. I would love for them to for if I was managing those studios, I would literally go to like I don't know how much money is given to Studio Japan. Obviously not much, right? All these people walking away. But I would go to Ueda. I would go to Bokeh. I would go to Level 5. I would go to Triace. I would go to we're saying Four Works or Media Vision. Give them a shot.
Yep, and Sony's never been shy to giving studios.
Give them a shot.
Sony's never been shy at giving these studios a shot either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to bring this up just because I think it's an interesting talking point too. Because they do, again, like this is a time where companies are trying to get more content for like their services or just like in general to sell.
Yes. Yes. And even if you aren't aiming for now, um, PlayStation has historically been good throughout a generation, or you could say on the back end of a generation.
Yep.
Cultivating those relationships today mean a lot for, what I don't want to talk about PlayStation 6. Not but eventually we're going to have to say, remember back in 2021 when X developers started making the games and they were meh, and then now that PS, Next is released, they're, full steam ahead.
Well, to be fair, didn't Sony patent the PlayStation brand all the way to PlayStation like 10 or something?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
I think it was like an advertisement during the PS2 era or something around there.
Yeah, they
like a commercial with like
I'm
those.
glad they didn't mess up the naming scheme. Whoever did, I think there was a meme about whoever named the PS2 that deserves everything. But
yeah, I guess that's bringing an end to the show. So I'll let you go ahead and do your outro, Kofi, my man.
All right, man. Thank you so much for having me on. Thanks for your patience, Calirex. Always looking forward to your posts, whether it's Media Molecule or your deep understanding of some of these, fine teams that I think go under the radar, West, East, Europe, So I definitely see that. I appreciate that, and hope to collaborate with you soon.
Yeah, no, I look forward to going on Vitamin G again sometime.
I'm really excited for Vitamin G to come back.
Yeah, I think a lot of us fans are excited. It's been a while. Like I literally been looking like, okay, was anything gonna happen soon? But yeah. Again, I really do have to say thank you for coming onto the show, and you're really the most knowledgeable Sony guy I know personally.
Please don't give me any credit for that. I just ramble. I just ramble and read articles.
Yeah, but still, like at least you do some. At least you look up information, or like are willing to study this. Not a lot of people are knowledgeable regarding Sony.
Yeah, it does take a lot of digging, especially when it comes to Japan. Well, one last thing I'll just add, when you look up just the generic name Studio Japan, you get more about the parent company, you know what I mean? And that's off top, it's just annoying. But anyway.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I guess that brings the end of the show. And I guess I have to say thank you for everyone who came by and supported the show. I really have to say thank you. And I hope you guys enjoyed something different than my usual podcast. So if you guys want more of this, please tell me. Don't be afraid to just tweet at me, leave a comment, because I really do like doing a one-on-one interview. I think this is fun. But with that, I have to say goodbye and enjoy your guys' day or night, wherever you are. So, peace!